is a God who arise. Let God arise. Our God reigns now and forever. He reigns now.
We don't want you to be alone.
There's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemy, in the presence of my enemies, and hallelujah. And my weapon is a melody, so I raise a hallelujah, and heaven comes to fight for me. Sing in the middle of the storm, and louder and louder. With everything we got, we sing. I'll raise a hallelujah with everything inside of me, and I'll raise a hallelujah. The darkness flee. I'll raise a hallelujah. Fear you lost your hold on me. I'm gonna sing in the middle. The King is alive. Come and while we sing, so sing a little louder, sir. You sing a little louder, sing of my enemies. Sing a little louder, louder than the unbelief. Sing a little louder, my weapon is a melody. Sing a little louder, and we'll sing a little louder. In the middle of the storm, King is alive.
This is my Father's world. I rest me in Maker's praise. This is my, the birds there. This is my, He shines in all. This is my Father's world. Oh, let me ne'er forget that though the wrong seems oft so strong, God is the ruler yet. The Father's world, the battle is not done. Jesus who died shall be sad.
You were condemned. I am alive and well. Your spirit lives within me because you died and rose again. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know is true, and it's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you. You are my King. You are my King. You are my King. He will die for me.
Is the size that it is, that making sure people get connected. I want you to know that we have poured hours into thinking. I want you to know that we
Need to slowly start the 6 weeks that are leading up to Easter. Someone who wants to get known at Highland. We have new people right now that are checking out our church. Need to get to know. So how it came to connect with one. So we're going to be closing this next week. So if you have thought about doing it or haven't,
really hope that you will, by shepherds, we're made that connection. We believe in it that strong. So church, as a church, let's get connected.
yeah, it seems like it's a win-win with your phone. You either answer and it may be a vaccine, or it could be elder in a second by the name of Richard.
I know, Highland, as we have gone almost a year into this pandemic, all of us are yearning and aching for things to get back to normal. And although we long for that, going back to normal, it's also a season where we're anxious about wondering if going back to normal is even for the city, the world, and for Highland. But I also think there's a suspicion that maybe normal wasn't all that great. The pandemic created when we were restricted to spend more time with family, too much on the church, on our staff to take care of our souls and our children. That families have had to take time to remember what it means to lead a family. Through spend more time with family, we've learned to get smaller. And we've also realized attainments that when all of that
the wiles of against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places.
Please be seated. Before we jump into the text,
Ephesians 6:10-12. The word of the Lord.
dust, and to dust you're going to return. The truth of Ash Wednesday on some level, this creation, and we understand that. So forward to Easter and the promise of the resurrection. We're going to do something special this year that we've never done before on Ash Wednesday. So I want to talk about it for just a minute. This is the experience of college. Others of us lost great vacations that we were planning on, and still others lied. And if you've lost someone that you want us to remember, you can put down that name and join us on February 17th. As Darla said last week, disease that has caused so much hardship and loss for so many passed me and my family by with the lightest touch. And I'm grateful for all the many calls and that happen. And let's not all free is recovered where your word. I pray that you pour through me the gift of preaching, that I might speak your truth and love to these, your people. And it's together that the church says. History and place, not just that expression that exists here now, but kind of that big understanding. And Paul wants us to understand what that looks like. And Ephesians is basically in two sections. There's chapters 1 through 3 that kind of lead us up to what does it mean to be part of that cosmic church. And then 4 through 6 that kind of explain, because of what we understand that means, this is what it looks like. And in chapter 3, Paul kind of hits this fervent and female to see what the real battle is. Paul says your struggle is not against flesh and blood. Your struggle is not against flesh and blood, but the powers and the rulers and the presence of the real battle is. Because the section right before this section is about, it's this household code as Paul explains how you act, how you behave. One of the chunk and treats where the church built a lot of games. And the coolest games at this particular trunk and treat was this truck, and the kids could climb up into the back of the truck, and they were given this giant foam, and there were little holes, and every now and then a little puppet would pop up, a little stuffy would pop up, and the child would take that hammer and smash it. It was kind of like a life-size version of whack-a-mole. It was amazing. And this was the longest line at the trunk and treat. Everyone wanted to check this game out, and she was standing there with her son, and her son was getting impatient because he's just getting more and more frustrated. He said to his mother, just hold my place in line. I'm going to go get some more candy. I'll come back. And his mother wants to teach him patience. And so she says, no, just wait. We'll get there. Just wait. The little boy, he couldn't have been more than 4. He just couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't stand it. And now that I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, I understand this boy's impulse. He runs up to that space where they were playing the whack-a-mole, and he grabs the sheet and he just rips it off. And everybody sees what's underneath. 3 adults crouched down like this with puppets on their hands trying to play whack-a-mole. He's making plans. Now, you may perceive the devil as a person or a personification. And I get that's a long theological discussion, and you may fall on either side of that discussion. You may see the devil as, and I don't know if it makes a mistake and they offend me. I don't really mind if somebody, you probably feel the same way. But what do you for the meeting and you're going to get the raw end of that deal? When someone is putting lies into the heads of others to discredit you, to malign, what do you do when someone is making plans that are actively trying to destroy the future of your sons and daughters? You just sit back and take that? Somebody can insult me on accident, but when someone is scheming against me, that's a problem. The evil one is scheming. The evil one knows your name. The evil one knows your middle name. The evil one knows your social security and your mother's maiden name, because the evil one is trying to steal your identity. He wants to take who soft and tender part in you that ignites your anger or your depression or your complacency. The evil one is scheming. They've ever been. And we have to watch that isn't turning our hearts away from God. Because the evil jumped out and grabbed him. The evil one is patient and crafty. The evil one has laid traps in your life and in your heart 10, 20, 30 years ago. Dog do magnets. It never fails. I can't help it. I don't know how true this is. I don't know how it's possible, but it's just there. And inevitably, after I make that kind of mistake, my wife or my kids will say, Dad, why did you step in that? Well, if I had sought then to wipe this church off the map, to turn this building into a piece of abandoned property, like one of those old abandoned Walmarts that no one knows what to do with. And here's the thing. You don't have to defeat the evil one Jesus has already got that covered. You don't have to defeat the evil one. You just have to stand. You just have to stand. I was careful for like 9 months. Did not go anywhere. I'm an introvert. I kind of loved it. And just about 2 weeks before I could get a vaccine, I catch COVID. Stepped in the trap if I had seen it. Vaccine, I catch COVID. All I had to do was stand and wait, and I didn't do it. Schemes is vision. And I was looking up in our backyard. We have this great big, probably 75-year-old pecan tree. We also have some live oaks on the other side of our backyard. And the live oaks have leaves year-round, but our pecan tree has been barren. But it was beautiful. When is that pecan tree going to get leaves? And in my head, I just had this little daydream about tree shepherds. And a tree shepherd knows that it takes so many days in a row where it's not too cold after it's been cold for a long time. And to the trees. But the reality kind of death where you run the race as if you were training for the prize kind of death, where you drop into the arms of Jesus. Death. I'm not talking about a good kind of death. I'm not talking about the kind of death where people are standing up for the least of these and speaking truth to power, and it puts you in a place of persecution. And I'm not talking about the kind of persecution that says, hello, I'd like to speak to your manager, please. I'm not Netflix around us. We have nothing to offer our neighbors. When we pull up the drawbridge and put down, we lose our vision, and we have. So we are seeking God. Time when all in this room will be committed to the kingdom. And we're excited for all of you, by the way, that are just waiting to get in the doors. We can't wait for you to get here. And I am glad, I am thrilled that we get to do this together. So please stand for our benediction. Church, I firmly believe is that we might miss it because we aren't paying attention. And so this week, may you be filled with love and joy. May you go with God.